Welcome, everybody, to this results sharing workshop for Sciencewise. I'm Kathy Sykes, the chair of the Sciencewise advisory group, recently described as a rucksack with a small human being attached, which in the rucksack is just here, the alternative way of seeing me. I just wanted to give a few words of context and then say what we'll be doing today. And in this time of economic recession, I believe we have a real opportunity. I also believe we've probably heard that so many times, and for most of us, we're sitting here thinking, you know what, it's just really miserable. But I really do see it as an opportunity, because there's an economist, Luke Giorgio in Manchester, who's been saying for a long time, way before this started, we are going to have to move to an economy that's driven by social values rather than consumer values. We're going to have to start valuing and spending money on tackling the big issues like climate change and aging and food and energy supply, rather than all wanting just to have the latest BlackBerry. And I think, just in my view, and you don't need to agree with this in any way, that this is a chance for us to reassess what we think of as being important in society and how we can tackle global issues better. You don't have to agree, but I do think something that public dialogue really offers is the very, very rare thing that from it usually emerges more longer-term thinking than short-term thinking. Groups of people coming together, deliberating, start off with quite short-term visions and end up with long-term visions. And in this world, I think, that's very rare, for politicians, for businesses, and for the media. Everything is so incredibly short-term. So I think really good quality public dialogue is key right now, more important than it's ever been, to helping us get to a better place. And so I think it's even more important than ever that Sciencewise, which is all about good quality, deliberative public dialogue, informing and really making a difference, I think it matters more than ever. Now, recently, I've had just a couple of quite depressing conversations with really senior scientists. And these two people, in separate occasions, were saying, you know what, science really is hard. You really do have to be bloody good at it, and it is elitist. And you know what, I don't actually have, I think, anything to learn from the public about my research. I find that slightly depressing, but again, it makes me more aware of the need for us to communicate what the public have said and help to show the wisdom of crowds rather than the madness of crowds, and help to evaluate, and there's a workshop on evaluate what we do and to really show the outcomes in really concrete ways. It also highlights the need, I think, for us to get much better at talking to the scientific community and getting those scientists who have been involved and have said, good grief, the public's understanding was really sophisticated. Good grief, I have changed how I think. And I have learnt stuff that's useful for my research. We need to get those scientists out there. It's no good me saying it. We need a load of scientists who their peers will listen to much more clearly. And again, we have a session on dealing with experts and preparing experts, and I think that's one of the things that we need to be grappling with as well. The last little kind of more uplifting thing I wanted to reflect on is research councils jointly through RC UK commissions, lots of big research projects on synthetic biology, as I'm sure many of you are aware of. And within that bid, they required the research networks to include evidence that they were thinking about ethical issues, or how they were going to help to think about ethical issues, societal issues, and do public engagement. And so right from the beginning, it's been built in. And my experience recently in Bristol, because we won one of those, and I'm helping the Bristol team to think about both their ethical and societal work, the key scientist involved said, we're really committed to doing this public engagement, and I've done a couple of café scientifiques. And then he said, but you know what, I don't think it's going to inform my research. It's been interesting. I've learned from people stuff about their concerns. It will help me if I have to confront John Humphrys. So it's been really valuable. And then he said, but you know what, it put me into a real quandary. I was in a quandary afterwards because I began to wonder, I've been doing basic research all my life, and I began to wonder about the balance between basic research I do and whether I should be doing any applied research. It's like, well, gosh, It's not that I want him to stop doing basic research and do applied research, but that he's thinking for the first time in his life about whether he should apply his research and how he might do it because of going to a couple of café scientifiques, I think is a real cause for celebration. And you know, it's fabulous, I think, the work that EPSRC is doing in culture change, and we have a whole session on culture change within its organisation to get engagement dialogue valued and a part of what it is to be a funder. And it's great to see some of the repercussions of that. So the dialogue and engagement specialists in Sciencewise came together and talked about some of the key areas where we wanted to do some more work. And I think you know the 6 research topics because you've chosen which workshops you want to go to. But you know, some of the things that we've talked about, like evaluation, we have to be able to show concrete outputs. We have to get better at evaluating and sharing that. Organisational readiness. Lindsay Colburn's been doing some great work helping us to look at an organisation's preparedness, readiness to engage. And in the last workshop that we had on the a few months ago, we had this moment where we said, oh gosh, some of us have been trying to tell organisations to change without starting off by understanding what those organisations are like. It was actually rather top down. You know, we want you to change rather than what are your needs and where are you right now and where do you want to go. Effective use of experts, mass engagement and citizen involvement, partly about how can we continue engaging once we've started and people have developed an appetite. And also communicators and the media. So I'm going to hand over to Penny Wilson, who will be facilitating the day. And part of the point of the context is just to remind us that whatever we might have said in this workshop, kind of a year or so ago, might be changed because of the context we're in. There might be things that feel more urgent now, things that we might need to do differently. And I just think we need to have that in mind because I think there's a greater sense of urgency.